Showtime.
It's about that time.
Let's go.
You're right where you need to be. This is GCOM Radio.
Hardest radio station on the planet. Yeah.
Powered by Lyfeblood.com.
We certified.
And hosted by Nova Phoenix.
Give them that flavor.
All right, man. What is going down, everybody out there, man? Yeah, we got another show. I got another show for you guys. I got plenty to talk about. I got plenty to say, as always. Thank you for tuning in once again to GCOM Radio. Yeah, I'm your host, Nova Phoenix. And how has your week been? You know, I always got to open the show with that. Of course, it's been great and it's been bad. Everything in between, both. What did you learn the most out of your bad situations? Yeah, man. Yes. So listen, I got plenty to talk about. So let's just get started. Why not? Let's get this thing rocking and rolling. I think I finally got this thing settled. This microphone. I think I got the microphone settled. I had a little issue with it. I think it's in a bag. It's in range. I should have been tweaking with this from before, even in my first show. But, you know, I came at the second and it felt like it wasn't quite there. And I think I am here now without it doing all that peeking and stuff. So, yeah, man. So let's get this thing. There's a lot of talk going on right now. The news is picking up. The news is picking up about the train accident in Ohio, in particular in East Palestine, Ohio. Interesting name. Yeah, it happened on February 23rd, 2023. A 50-car train crashed that was carrying hazardous toxic chemicals. You know, a lot of people were saying at the very beginning, and let's say a couple of days ago, they was like, oh my God, the news, they're not talking about it. It's just, let me tell you something. The table has turned, folks. The table has turned, and we already knew this, but it's just good to mention it to you guys. I remember when all of our news came from the major news networks, 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, and 11, and from the radio, you heard what you heard, and that's what you heard. That's it. But with the coming of social media, of course, that has changed. That we have redefined what it is, what the word media means to us. And of course, you know what it is when it comes to its social media. We have YouTube, people with various podcasts and shows and on a variety of different podcast platforms. Their podcast has been distributed on YouTube, and to the point where the major news networks, they don't cover the story, but if the story is wild and crazy and out of this world enough, and a story that should be told, that the world should know, even though the news networks do not pick it up, you can thank social media. You can thank every place online for people that do have podcasts, for people that do have their own platforms. We get the news going out there first. It gets to the point where it is unavoidable from the major news networks. And even if they try to bury it, they can't. There's a lot of people, when this whole thing started to kick off, again, that news story came from social media. That news story, it really started to circulate. And even some politicians that really do believe in the people, the very few politicians that do exist, use their platform and get the story out there. So yeah, again, now the story is gaining traction. A lot of different shows on major news networks, they're talking about it, and it's sad to say that I think I first heard this story on TikTok, and this train, as I said before, it crashed and it was holding a lot of hazardous toxic chemicals. One in particular called vinyl chloride. You guys already know the story, so you know it was on its way wherever it was going, and the train derailed, and 10 cars out of the 50, and now that varies in information. It goes from anywhere between 10 cars and 20 cars basically turned over and exploded. It was holding vinyl chloride, one of the main hazardous chemicals. A couple other chemicals too were also being stored in transport, but the major one was vinyl chloride. And if you don't know what vinyl chloride is, I did a little research. Vinyl chloride, and you may hear this on one of the major news networks, on CNN, Fox, wherever you're listening to, but I'm here for those that don't know what vinyl chloride is and really don't listen to the news. Vinyl chloride is a man-made colorless gas with a sweet scent. This chemical is also called vinyl chloride monomer, chloroethene, chloroethylene, ethylene monochloride, or monochloroethylene. It's interesting. You could go to vinyl chloride SDS, and there are many different characteristics of vinyl chloride for you to understand it. One in particular that jumped out at me is its boiling point. That's the point where the actual liquid will turn to gas and will boil off depending on the temperature in the surrounding environment. And of course, I guess it takes water, I think 100 degrees or something like that, 98 something degrees, whatever. And the boiling point, boiling point for vinyl chloride is 7 degrees Fahrenheit. You're gonna be like, what? Yes, it literally boils off into the air at 7 degrees Fahrenheit. So this train turned over. Of course, emergency responders showed up. A lot of different officials showed up, trying to contain this spill. And what they did to actually contain it was do controlled burn-offs of this chemical. Instead of waiting for the train to explode and really get out of hand, they did controlled burns. But the problem with that is, by burning off vinyl chloride, the burning goes off into the air, mixing with water, and it could be very toxic to the environment and to any living thing within a specific radius. And it's been said animals have died. The fishes in the lakes, they have died. People's pets, of course, people were in that media area in that town were told to evacuate, and they did. When some did come back, because certain officials said that it was okay to come back, the people, pet owners, farmers, folks in the community found a lot of dead fish, a lot of dead animals, cows, their pets. This is very dangerous to sentient life. And they use vinyl chloride for plastics and other vinyl products. I guess when you think of vinyl, you think of like wax, or what you put music on. So that's where it was being shipped to for processing. If you happen to come in contact with vinyl chloride in the air, it affects the central nervous system. It gives you dizziness, drowsiness, headaches amongst humans. It is very serious. And they say chronic long-term exposure to vinyl chloride through inhalation and oral exposure can give you liver damage, and it's carcinogenic, of course. It is carcinogenic, meaning you can get cancer from vinyl chloride from extreme exposure. Now, this is the thing. Some local folks, officials, says it was okay to be back in the area. I don't know if they're supposedly they say it's okay to drink the water. If the animals have died, it's probably best not to drink the water. It's probably best not to drink the water. So this is a serious issue. There was a press conference a couple of days ago with the governor of Ohio. And unfortunately, what I've heard, it's been circulating online. It hasn't been on major news networks, but it's been circulating on social media that there was one reporter that was arrested during a press conference while I think Governor Mike DeWine was there. Now, Governor Mike DeWine, he was asked about this. He supposedly said he was unaware that this thing or this altercation, this mix, of course, police were sent in to arrest this man for what reason. I don't know who sent him. I don't know what was the situation. I just saw footage online where this actual reporter was handcuffed. He was thrown to the ground. He was put in a police car. His name, the news correspondent for it was a news correspondent, excuse me, Evan Lambert. He was arrested this past Wednesday. He's from News Nation. And this press conference was happening in a gymnasium, in some elementary school in East Palestine. And it was terrible. It is absolutely terrible what took place in MC. That's actually in the Associated Press. You can Google it, Associated Press, and then actually tell you the story where this gentleman was arrested. Unfortunate. So it just goes to show that when you're here to break the story in all its rawness, that the powers that be will not allow you to get this information out. Now, of course, news people were there in this press conference, but of course, this is they're selected because they're going to be very careful and who they're protecting on getting information out there. But this gentleman here, I've never heard of News Nation, so it's got to probably be an independent news source. And the gentleman was arrested. He was eventually let go. I do think that he is suing the local sheriff's department on this issue. But yeah, it just goes to show that, his name is also, actually, it's this is kind of a big news. So it's from News Nation. They have a Washington bureau. Obviously it's not a small independent news source or media. So I've never heard of News Nation, whatsoever. But this is where this reporter is coming from, and yeah, that was the case. So it's interesting that I saw again online talking about, and I hate to say that I was getting this from someone. Oh my God. I hate to say it, but there was a news clip on Twitter, and this news dude, let me see if I can bring up Twitter. I think I saved it. Actually was bringing up the whole case. And, like I said, I'll listen to anything just to see where they're coming from, what angle they're taking it from. Let me go to my bookmark, see if I saved it. Yes. Oh, yeah. So this Fox News guy, I had to watch it. Good old Tucker Carlson. What? No, you listening to Tucker Carlson? Yes, it lives in Tucker Carlson. It was just a news clip. I was saying, let me see how he's going to talk about this as far as what was going on in Ohio with the train crash. I have to say, it's not very. Let me tell you, it's not even frequent. This dude, he hardly tells the truth in any way. 98% of the time, Tucker Carlson is usually spewing some propagandist, right-leaning craziness. But in that little clip, 9-minute clip, he does talk about the train crash. I give it to him. He did talk about what happened in Ohio with the news. Of course, he's going to give his right-wing leaning, MAGA-esque spin on it. The partisanness, of course, he had to throw in Biden in there. He had to throw in Buttigieg because he is the transportation secretary. Always have to make it about Republican and Democrat. He does do that little spin. However, he did talk about some interesting things, that there has been a series of peculiar situations have been happening with trains. Apparently, from what he's saying, and this, of course, anybody can research this. Trains have been purposely derailed. Not saying that this one was, but there has been accounts where trains have been purposely derailed by what they call a shunt, some sort of a metal cable or something that's put across the track to somehow short the train and at the same time derail it. My memory serves me well. That this is an ongoing thing across America, trains being derailed. Also attaching that to the issue with, as I talked about it on my TikTok, eggs, mysteriously chicken farms have been burning. Also, there have been some terrorist attacks, and you have to say, where even certain water plants have been attacked themselves. There's one in particular where there was a hacker that hacked into a particular water treatment plant and deleted the software. The software needed to properly treat the water that's coming through the plant. Of course, the software, to balance the good chemicals in order to purify the water. So they found out nothing big happened with that. The personnel that run the plant noticed that the internal computers have been hacked. They uploaded the software again, but then it kept happening. This hacker kept on deleting the software. Actually, there's also another attack, and this is frequent now. There was also someone tried to sabotage another treatment plant. I forgot which particular area. You guys, again, you can Google this. I had no idea. So why are all these things happening? Interesting stuff. Now, Tucker Carlson will never go that far, because if you are really a real investigative journalist, you would do the research and see who the exact people are that's causing this these series of incidents or series of attacks to be happening that's somehow not getting a lot of attention on the news. So I'm very interested on who are the culprits, the perpetrators that is trying to sabotage water treatment facilities, who's derailing these trains. And of course, I spoke about it. I talked about it on I posted. I usually repost on TikTok. And I tell you, I've been on TikTok. I get a lot of, as I said before, I get good responses off of TikTok. And I shared the whole situation with the prices of eggs going up. And it's a funny thing that a lot of these chicken farms are being burnt down. I think 1,001 in one particular year. So they took that down. So I'm interested in what is going on here. So it's unfortunate again to all the folks in Ohio, in that area of Ohio, East Palestine, Ohio, that is going through this right now. I remember when 9/11 happened, and they were saying that, oh, it's perfect, the air is fine, and encouraging to get business. Of course, it's always about profit. Always keep the machine chugging along. They were telling people to come back to work in Lower Manhattan, and people did. A lot of people didn't. But for those that did come back to Manhattan, I do remember even some people that I knew said the air was not good. There were people that never suffered from asthma whatsoever. They came back to work, and several weeks, probably 3 or 4 or 5 weeks later, they were coming down with mild asthmatic reactions. And a lot of them quit and said, to hell with you, we ain't coming back. And they didn't come back. I remember one particular guy that I knew, he was running a business. I'd say he was head of security down there. And his guy was like, man, I'm telling you, I'm coming down with something. I never had asthma before. He's like, come on, man. Whatever. He was like, whatever. And he's like, nah, man, I'm out of here. And he resigned. The security guy resigned. So my guy that I knew, he was head of security. He's like, all right, man, go do what you got to do. And I think a couple weeks later, my guy started suffering from he never had asthma. He doesn't have a history of asthma. He started coming down with asthma, and he was like, oh shit, I'm out of here too. So politicians, they're pretty much tied in with the big business folks, and they're going to tell you whatever that you need to hear to feel comfortable, because they need to come back so they can make some money. Come on back. Let's come on back to work. So I understand where those folks are coming from, and what they're saying, what they're seeing, eyewitness accounts about their animals. Do not, folks, over there in East Palestine, Ohio, do not. Matter of fact, in the surrounding communities around East Palestine, Ohio, do not drink that water. Don't drink that water, man. We don't know the long-term effects of drinking that water 2, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. Don't drink that water until you, and also not just don't drink the water, get independent, folks that can analyze the water. Don't depend on the government that's going to send out their own people. The people in the community, hire your own folks, firms that can test this water and make sure that it is A-okay to drink. Think about your families. Think about your loved ones. Do not drink that water. Yeah. This spy balloon thing is going on. You know, when I first started hearing about this spy balloon thing, this is wild. I started hearing about the spy balloon thing about, China sending in somewhere. An unidentified object was shot down in northern Canada. Matter of fact, last Saturday, it's the third time since a U.S. fighter jet came down to and identified a foreign object in North American air. But anyway, when I first heard about this thing, the first time, it was a Chinese balloon, and I was like, huh? A Chinese balloon? And I'm already a skeptic. So I'm like, okay, so a Chinese balloon is flying 60,000 feet in the air, and it decided to let it go because it was above civilian flight elevation, right? Elevation at civilian altitude. They say civilian altitude for commercial jets is 40,000 feet. This one was at 60,000 feet, but they eventually shot it down. And I'm like, huh? So, I'm really skeptical because of what I think. Since I always think, because I've known as everybody knows, false flags. If you don't know what a false flag is something where there would be some sort of event that is made up and orchestrated in order to get the support of the public so the country can go to war. So there are a number of different false flags. Again, you can Google it. Matter of fact, they're saying that the Vietnam War was started from a false flag. From the Gulf of Tonkin, a ship that was blown up. I believe is a U.S. I forgot what type of U.S. ship was blown up in the Gulf of Tonkin, and it turns out that was let me not get the story. Something like that, right? So there's a number of different false flags that they talk about on why wars are started. Not just that, but regime change and putting or installing your own puppets in certain third world countries or emerging economies. So anyway, that's how I was feeling with this whole Chinese balloon thing. Because my thing is, the Chinese government, they have a pretty advanced as far as in terms of technology and ships, and they do well from themselves when it comes to war, say equipment and ships and all that sort of those things, right? And then they have a bunch of satellites, because I'm like, wait a second. So if the Chinese wanted to spy on America, don't they have satellites, right? So I looked up how many satellites are flying around or the orbit of the Earth. They said, I think it's about 3,000, I think. Don't quote me on this, and you guys could Google it yourself. So I was like, all right, so how many? They're saying out of those 3,000, about 2,200 or 2,400, something like that. 2/3 of the satellites that's orbiting the Earth are American made, and a good portion of them, probably 300 or 400, is Chinese. Okay, all right, cool. And I'm giving you rough numbers here because I'm just doing some I'm just curious, because I'm like, if the Chinese wanted to spy on America, why would they send a balloon? So it turns out, this is before I heard about the Pentagon. I was like, I'm not going to say anything until I hear more. And then the story came out saying the Pentagon was like, it was a Chinese spy balloon. I'm like, oh snap, the Pentagon saying, again, I'm thinking, I'm not so sure about this. I'm not saying it's right away is a false flag, but I'm not so sure about this. But the Pentagon, the story is picked up, the Pentagon saying that it was identified as a Chinese spy balloon. And then another story broke saying that the Chinese government came forward and said, yes, we want our spy balloon back. I'm like, the Chinese, they're actually admitting that that's their property. So they actually said they wanted to get their balloon back. A press conference with the Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning said that when they were asked about the balloon's purpose and reports of other similar crafts in the area, in American and South American airspace, the spokesperson, the Chinese Foreign Minister Mao Ning, said that quote, the Chinese side has given information about the unmanned airship on several occasions. I don't have anything to add at this moment, unquote. They admitted this. So I'm like, okay, I can't really say nothing. Wait a second. The Chinese, they sent supposedly one so far. They're saying there were other balloons that were sent up during the Trump administration, but it never really came out at the time. There were 3 similar spy balloons that flew over U.S. territory. So I'm like, they're flying? Why? Because America, you got to give it up. America has the strongest military in the world. And there are a lot of advances in the air defense, in the different military arms. Don't you think? And of course, in terms of the technology with satellites, if they can zoom in on a basketball and read in clear as day in 4K Spalding on the side of a basketball from space, what makes you think they're not going to detect a spy balloon that's floating 60,000 feet in the air? So this is what happened, and it was shot down. And I cannot believe that this is happening. And I'm like, I also believe sometimes you got to be careful. I said on a show, like, you got to be careful. The certain news gets front and center on CNN and Fox and all those things, wherever you see it. And I'm like, why would they? Don't they have satellites that can do the same thing? Why are they sending balloons? And I'm like, either the Chinese government, it could be by accident. I'm just saying, let's just go through the scenarios. Or it could be a test to test the air defense, the American air defenses. Let's see how far we can send this balloon in. Let's see if they react to that. Because again, I'm trying to understand the reasons why this balloon was sent in. And as I said before, last Friday, there was another object that was shot down and unidentified. They're not saying Chinese balloon, spy balloon. They're saying an unidentified object was shot down in northern Canada last Saturday, making this the 3rd time a U.S. fighter jet has taken down a foreign object in North American airspace. An object was shot down last Friday in Alaskan airspace, and the weekend before last, a Chinese surveillance balloon, as I said, was shot down by an F-22 off the coast of South Carolina. So I'm just like, all these objects are being shot down. They're not really getting into the details of what these quote unquote objects are. Now, of course, people online, when the news is saying object, I don't know why people are taking that leap to UFOs. Like, they're saying objects online in these news articles, and people are hopping to, oh my God, these must be UFOs. Why? How y'all making this leap? We don't know what they're talking about. But I'm very curious on why all of a sudden all of these foreign objects are being discovered and shot down out of nowhere. Like, why all of a sudden are they, now, all times, now all of a sudden they're seeing these things on radar and they're following them. They're sending up F-22 fighter jets and they are destroying them. So that is going to be the interesting thing, how we move from here on out. If we're going to have more Chinese spy balloons fly over Florida, Miami, if they're going to fly over, like, I don't know, New York, like, what are you going to do? Like, I'm just patiently waiting to see how this story is going to unfold. Spy balloons, that's wild, man. And the Chinese admitted that's crazy. I'm sure America's sent some stuff over Chinese airspace. I'm sure they have. I don't put it, and when I talk about America a lot, I talk about America and all their wrongdoings and all the messed up things that America does because I live here, right? But I'm not ignorant to think that other countries don't do the same thing. Russia, China, anyone with a developed in a developed nation are going to do things in order to get information, in whatever ways that they can. So yeah, man. The spy balloon thing is real. That's madness. Yeah, we're gonna see how that goes. The next story that I got on here, some people have been talking about The Rock. The Rock and in the movies that he's doing. And it's funny because I never really thought much of it. I've seen a lot of Rock. You know, he's in the gym and he's banging the metal. He's going at it, and I'm like, this guy is. I mean, how old is The Rock right now? I think he's got to be in his mid-50s. This guy still goes hard in his music, in the movie business. Let me see how old The Rock is. Rock age, Dwayne. They're saying The Rock is 50 years old. Excuse me. He's still going hard, still cranking out movies, still banging out those weights wherever he goes. This man is very successful. It's come a long way since the WWE, but they're saying it's possible that The Rock is taking human growth hormones. They're saying a man at that age can never be as ripped, as shredded as The Rock is. There's no man at 50 something years old can be as shredded as The Rock is now. You can do this when you're in your 20s, your 30s, or 40s, but eventually testosterone in men, testosterone levels in men starts to dip, I think around 45, 48. It starts to dip, and of course that's going to affect your muscle growth when you work out. And they're saying it's impossible for The Rock to still be this freaking ripped. Now, personally for me, I don't care. The Rock could take anything he wants. Because my thing is, as long as The Rock is not doing any sport, as long as The Rock is not doing anything where he's facing off another human being in order to win at the end of a game, whatever you want to say, in the octagon or a square battle royale space with the ropes, as long as The Rock is not doing anything like, I mean, why can't he take it? If he wants to look shredded, because he's The Rock, he has a reputation to uphold. I don't have a problem with this. I mean, I personally think, if you ask me, I think Chris Hemsworth is taking human growth hormones because that dude was shredded in Thor: Love and Thunder. There's no way. Every Thor movie that came out, Chris Hemsworth has come. He's bigger than the last. This dude, like, you think he can't get any bigger than how he was in the last movie, and then the new Thor comes out. I'm like, damn, bro, you still got room to. I think Chris Hemsworth, he's definitely taking. There's no way. If we're sold on The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson taking human growth hormones or whatever you want to call it these days, Chris Hemsworth, he's definitely taking that, dude. My man is shredded. And I seen recently now, this dude, he's like half the size. You know, not every actor is going to continue, other than The Rock. Like, you know, some actors just do it for the role, and then when the role's done, they stop working out. But, you know, Chris Hemsworth he's still a muscular guy, but not like for the movies. Goddamn. This dude is swole. And also, I think not just Chris Hemsworth, I also think, to keep it real, Hugh Jackman was taking it. I mean, you see Hugh Jackman in, what was it? Let me see which one it was. This dude, when he went back in time, I think it was X-Men Days of Future Past, when he had to go in the past to figure out how to stop the Sentries. Remember that when he first woke up, right? So I forgot her, Kitty Pryde or whatever, I think that's her name, you know, blasted him into the past, and he woke up as himself in the 70s, and he was in the bed with the woman. That dude was shredded from collar to the V in your thigh. His muscles had muscles. And it's this dude, I'm like, there's no possible. And they say one of the tactics, what they can do to show that you're shredded, is dehydration. Okay, right before the scene, I guess, I think they take a pill or something and it dehydrates, so it draws in the skin over the muscles, so it appears more shredded than the average person. But as soon as you start drinking water again, it disappears, right? You rehydrate. So they're saying that's one tactic, but it cannot be. It's impossible for Hugh Jackman to be that shredded as he was Days of Future, and they're just gonna leave it to dehydration. Days of Future Past. Let me see. Let me see if I can find some images. Right. All right. So boom, here's one. I wish I could show you guys this dude, and this still doesn't do it justice, because in the film, all right, you see when he got the bone claws, all right, and he's like, look guys, you don't want to do this, I know you want to do this, right? So they got this one scene with him just like throwing out the bone claws, and it's still image that still doesn't do it justice, because when you see it in motion, I'm like, god damn, bruh, you are cut. So yeah, I personally think that I think every actor does it. They just don't say it. They say some BS. I also saw a video of social media influencer, workout buff, whatever guy, and they were saying, a lot of the actors, is funny because he played a lot of the video of the interviews, and in these interviews, these actors are asked, so how'd you get to this point? And they all say the same thing. Oh, chicken and broccoli. I'm like, stop it. Chicken and broccoli diet and working out is not going to give you that type of body. And they all say the same thing. Oh, we eat chicken and broccoli. Oh, chicken and broccoli, chicken and broccoli. Impossible. I know when they get their, of course, the movie studio pays for it. They get their dietitian. They get their workout, what do you call it, person, forgot their name, trainer, their workout trainer. But I personally think they definitely do take it. Big up to The Rock. Do what you got to do, bro, but just don't do it to the point where it affects your health, man, because a lot of these things affect your heart. A lot of wrestlers have died, and he knows this. A lot of wrestlers have died from heart failure, and it's because they were pumping steroids all throughout their wrestling career, man, and the strain on the heart just eventually caught up to them, and it's sad, man. So yeah, I don't really care if The Rock takes it. Go ahead, man. Be the best that you can be for the role that you're trying to do. Just take the necessary breaks when it's when it comes time. Sliding into the next topic. So we got the Flash movie that's coming out. The Super Bowl. I'm gonna get into that a little bit. The Super Bowl was super dope. All right. I haven't seen the Super Bowl in so long. I haven't seen sport and football in like 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm telling you, I haven't seen sports in a long time. I was speaking with my boys, and eventually I was like, you know what? Let me set this up so I can watch Super Bowl, and it was great, man. I enjoyed the game, especially the commercials and everything like that. But yeah, I saw the Flash commercial movie. Now, of course, you could go to E-Man Reviews. You could see his review on breakdown in the video. You could go to New Rock Stars. You could go to Grace Randolph. You could see a breakdown in the movie of the commercial. But I'm excited. I can say that. Now, my excitement for the Flash movie has nothing to do with my opinions on Ezra Miller. I still think you should toss that dude out with the hot trash, but I can say overall the movie looks very good, and I can see why they said, nah, let's keep this. Dump Batgirl, but let's keep the Flash movie. And plus, it's definitely a movie needed if James Gunn is going to plan to reboot the DCU, then this is a great opportunity to do that. I personally think that, it's the wrong since he released his take on his slate. I think it's a rough slate. I think certain things are going to work. Certain things he hasn't spoken about. I think there's going to be 1 or 2 movies that's going to slip in there, but I'll get into that later. But I'm super excited about the Flash movie. They're saying there might be a cameo of another Batman. It looked like from the trailer that we saw the Tumbler. That's why on Twitter I said that's got to be Christian Bale Batman, right? I'm excited because that's the Tumbler, the motorbike that's in the movie, in a Christopher Nolan movie. It might not be Christian Bale. It might just be Ben Affleck, Batman, doing this thing on a bike. So, I could be wrong. Who knows? But it sure looked like the Tumbler to me from the Christopher Nolan, Christian Bale Batman. But, and plus it's a treat to see Michael Keaton, the original Batman, that really did his thing. That was my favorite because it was the first with Tim Burton as the director. It's the first take as far as the dark tone that we known from the comics, apart from the campiness of the 60s. man, I'm telling you, Michael Keaton is a man. To see Michael Keaton in that, man, I'm really excited to see it. See old Batman. Who knows what he's gonna play, and how much of the Flash movie is going to be pulled from the Flashpoint comic. Of course, there was also the cartoon Flashpoint. So who knows how close are they going to pull that storyline? By seeing the reviews, they're definitely going to, there is an influence, but of course, there's always going to be little changes here and there for these particular writers that wrote out the Flash movie, Flashpoint. But I'm excited. I'm really excited. You don't understand. You don't understand. Now, I'm upset that Henry Cavill can't come in because, you know, Ezra. Oh, dude. Okay. I'm still going on the fact that everything that Ezra went through, there's no coming back from that. It's just bad news. It's bad publicity for the movie studio, for the WB. The movie was already shot by the time this dude is just wilding out around the world. I'm hoping that this is his last Flash. They can recast the Flash in the next Flash movie and get rid of Ezra. But I know Henry Cavill is tight. I know Henry Cavill is so tight right now. Oh my God, to be a fly on the wall when he found out that Ezra Miller was still in there. And oh man. So so as far as James Gunn, the DCU, I'll say this: everybody already knows. They've seen it already. As far as the big fan followers of the DCU, of Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and James Gunn when he did Guardians of the Galaxy and the Peacemaker. So let's just say so far, the stuff I'm not really crazy about. I'm not really crazy about Booster Gold. Not really crazy about Booster Gold. Who cares? Supergirl story on the chunk of a planet Krypton. I don't know. Let's see how that comes out. I'm not so sure. I'm interested in The Brave and the Bold with Batman, with Damian as Robin. I can't wait. I always wanted them to do a story of death in the family. With the storyline where Robin gets beat and killed by the Joker. And let me tell you something, that if the director gets their hands around that story, man, the emotional drag and the deepness that he can go to, the pain that Batman can feel that his right-hand man Robin was killed by the let me tell you this. The cinematics would be crazy. I can't wait for them to do that story. But James Gunn is jumping to Damian as Robin. It's still possible to tell the story with I think it was James Todd, Robin, the guy B. I think it was James Todd. I'm still interested in it. I would love for that to see that, man. I think that would be crazy. The Authority, Creature Commandos, Paradise Lost, a story about Themyscira and the folks on this fantasy island. I think that would work if Wonder Woman is in it. If Wonder Woman is not in there, it sounds like it's a cross between Lord of the Rings and how should I say? What's that movie with the my God, with the dragon? The one on HBO. I forgot. You know what I'm talking about. It sounds like that. Do I really care about the Amazonians? I'll care about the Amazonians when I see Wonder Woman. That's when I'll have interest. But that's it. Should they have Nubia in there? Now that would be hot, I have to say. If they're gonna do Themyscira, all right, Paradise Lost, they gotta have Nubia in there. It would pique my interest to see that, but we'll see. We'll see. What I am looking forward to is Swamp Thing. Grace Randolph is not a big fan of the Swamp Thing, but I am. I think that would be super dope. I remember when they released Swamp Thing as a live action. Google it, people. YouTube it, Swamp Thing. I love that. It was a B-rated flick. Wasn't a big budget, but as a kid when I watched Swamp Thing, yo, I love that. To this day, I love watching Swamp Thing. So, man, I haven't seen it in so long. Shoot, not talking about it now, I might have to pull that out and watch it. I'm interested in Waller. I think that would be pretty cool. A lot of people are, some people are not. I think Waller's dope. I think that Viola Davis would do a fantastic job as Waller in this series. I'm pretty sure it's going to be on HBO Max. It's not going to be a big movie. It's going to be, more than likely, it's going to be a series on HBO Max, Waller, and then you're getting probably some Peacemaker characters and such and so forth. Yeah, I will watch Waller, but the story has to be right. It has to be kind of like Captain America Winter Soldier. All right, it's got to be really deep, complex, layered, politically driven. Of course, with who Waller is, it's yo, it would be crazy. One last thing I'm interested in, of course, last thing is Green Lantern. Green Lantern with Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. I've been waiting for Green Lantern, Jon Stewart character to come into focus. Like, what are they waiting for? It didn't work with the last one, Green Lantern. Nobody liked that. Ryan Reynolds, everybody knows Ryan Reynolds even parodies himself in in the Deadpool movies with Green Lantern. Didn't work out. But I think would be really strong is Green Lantern Jon Stewart. But so this is a buddy cop movie. I think it would be dope. Bringing in Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. I will be interested in that. It doesn't even have to be a movie. I know it's not going to be a movie. More than likely, it's going to be like an HBO Max. Whatever HBO Max is going to be in the future, I think it should be a series. But you got to put money behind it. You can't okey doke it and put green string attached to something and pull it through the air with green light. Put some money behind it. It doesn't have to be CGI heavy in every episode. But definitely, you gotta. It's gotta play out. You gotta put money behind it. People will, they will destroy it. DC fans will destroy it if you don't do it right. The next movie that I'm gonna do is the Fast X. Fast X with Jason Momoa. Man, he's playing the big bad against Toretto and the family. It's all about family. I'm gonna see that flick. I don't know about you. I'm seeing that flick because I want to see where they take it now. I mean, when I was watching Fast, I think it was Fast 5 or something, 5, 6. Yo, when they started going over the top with the stunts, I was like, stop. What physics are they using? Because this shit ain't real. Yo, but let me tell you, the stunts was so over the top to the point where I understood what the writers were doing. I knew the writers were purposely doing over the top stunts, and I think it was a shot in the dark or try to see how the audience was going to receive it, because the audience could have just dumped on it and been like, yo, that's so unrealistic, right? But I think they did it in such a way where the audience caught on. It was like, oh, I see what you're doing. You're playing this up. And all of a sudden, Fast and the Furious became this whole other thing. Because what do you do after you do Cars? What do you do after a race car movie? Okay, we're going to do that for the next 6 sequels of a big car race. We got that in the first 2. People would get bored. It would fail. I think the writers in the room was like, yo, we got to take this somewhere and show and really challenge the audience and show them that, yo, we doing something different. And to me, it worked because I'm like, these stunts is like, what? It's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. The one where Toretto had to get to the other side of the mountain and he had the girlfriend in the car. He was like, I'm going to get to the other side. And I think it was like a drawbridge, a string drawbridge. This dude drove the car, somehow latched the rope with the I guess the hook at the end underneath the chassis of the car. And they swung to it was so ridiculous. I'm like, stop it. And it was the other one. I think the first one when Toretto's girlfriend was on, it was like a 2-lane bridge. It was separated and it was coming to the point where she got jettisoned from the car from the force of the crash. So at the last minute, Toretto, I guess, careens his car into the side. Somehow he gets propelled into the air, catches his girl. Yo, Let me tell you, I was dying laughing. I was like, stop this stop this madness. Yeah, but it was that was so crazy. So I'm gonna definitely see Fast X. I want to see where it's gonna go. So far, I like how the character looks. Jason Momoa's character look. I think this is the first evil dude he's ever played, man. So I'm interested to see how this is gonna come out. Yeah, shout out to everyone doing Fast. 10 more. Let's do 10 more Fast. 10 more. Let's do it. Yeah, and as I was saying with the Super Bowl, the Super Bowl was dope. I like to say, I didn't get back to that, my bad. The Super Bowl was dope. Shout out to Rihanna. It was. I love the halftime show. That was partly why I got to see the Super Bowl, not just to see the game, but to see Rihanna. Yes, Rihanna gave us a pleasant surprise that she's pregnant. You cannot avoid that. I was talking to my wife, who's going back and forth, like, is she pregnant? No, she's not pregnant. Is she pregnant? Yes, she is. And I think that's a big surprise she gave. Yo, shout out to Rihanna. I loved every scene. She ain't had to do no backflips. She ain't had to slide across the stage. She ain't had to do nothing but what Rihanna was doing at the moment. She was sitting in her queendom. Let's keep it real. Rihanna was not giving two F's. She was going to do her quick little two-step joint with her dances, and that was it. That's all she did. And let me tell you, we ain't getting no music anytime soon. We ain't getting no music. Everybody screaming for Rihanna to drop an album. Let me tell you, seeing that baby bump, you ain't seeing a lick of music for the next 2 to 5 years. She is fully comfortable in doing her Fenty underwear. She is fully comfortable with doing her makeup, Fenty makeup, whatever you want to call it, Savage, whatever you want to call it. You ain't seeing no music. She could probably release an album and be like a quick little EP joint, just like to feed the fans. But that'd be a teaser. So I don't even really think that, I really don't think she gonna do no new music. She is good. Rihanna is good, and she letting y'all know I'm making my money through this underwear. So whoever got a problem with it, sucks to be you. Yeah, with that. So the other thing is the crypto. Yeah, I don't talk about crypto a lot. So Gary Gensler, the director of the SEC, is warning crypto firms to register with the SEC because Kraken is closing its U.S. staking program, and they've been ordered to pay $30 million for the unregistered quote unquote illegal activity. Gensler said that regardless of the language used, or if it's lending, if they call it earning, APY, staking rewards, whatever that it is, it should come with a security law protections. There should be some way where the investors from any unknown, to protect the investor from any unknown tricky activities that could be found within these intermediaries. The owner of Coinbase, of course, had an issue with this. Because that can have a serious blow to a lot of the intermediaries, platforms like Coinbase and all the other platforms that is using staking as a means of a revenue stream, but also to financially bolster the platform for the cryptos that they do hold. And Coinbase CEO was not too crazy about that. Now, this is going to be funny going to come from me. I can understand that. I cannot disagree with what Gary Gensler is saying. I cannot disagree. Because of course, if you are going to stake your own tokens or your coins, and you're expecting to get a certain yield from your tokens within a specific time frame, you want to get that interest that you gain, because you're the one, as the investor, that's putting the risk into these platforms in order to get your money back. And that could be problematic in a new industry that if we've already seen FTX that has crippled the entire industry. to the point where people like, okay, we're not coming back from this. It has infected people with serious doubt as far as the viability of the Web3 industry, and I get that. How do we protect investors, users that are going to stake their coin into these platforms? What if this platform goes belly up? What happens to your money then, right? I get it. The only thing that I feel that should be done is, again, I always believe that there should be an independent agency that exists within the Web3 world, where there are professionals within this industry that can draft the rules of how companies should operate, and it should come from their corner. But when you have the analog boys, as I call them, dictate how the Web3 individuals and agencies and firms should move, then that's where it's problematic, because now you're beholden to them and the rules that they've had since the inception of the dollar. And that could be very problematic. And I've also said it could probably work hand in hand. A quote unquote partnership could be made with this Web3 nonprofit that has drafted these rules, and they can work with Gary Gensler and the SEC, but it always should be within the hands of this nonprofit agency that's going to protect users and everyone that operates within the Web3 world. So a lot of people may not know what I'm talking about. For those that's listening to the show and you really don't care what Web3 or tokens or blockchain or Bitcoin or Ethereum or Solana or any of these things are, I'll give you a little rundown. Okay, blockchain is a shared, immutable, unchangeable, in other words, ledger that records transactions and tracks assets in a digital network. And in order to create these transactions or move these transactions along with cryptocurrency, they use a method of proof of work. So in crypto, you have the blockchain, and there's a series of blocks that hold a string of numbers and letters that prove the existence of a crypto transaction. So in order to add to the blockchain to verify these transactions, a miner validator uses their computer that they've bought to crunch these mathematical equations to solve this string of numbers and letters. And once solved and this transaction is verified on the blockchain within that block, and it's added to the block, the miner receives a coin as a transaction fee in return. They're awarded monies within that token, or like you can get a piece of Bitcoin or something like that. That's how proof of work works. All right. So some miners and validators would have their like one singular computer. That's the node, is what they call a node within their home. Or you can have it can get more robust where you can have a series of different computers. Like literally think of like a server room on a large scale. You can have that as far as the computers is crunching these numbers that is going to validate the transaction within the block. Right? So you can have 10 computers in an apartment, 20s. I've seen some really rough early ones. When certain exchanges have crashed, that has put people out of business. When certain countries have moved, they're saying those governments have said you can no longer mine in this country. It put a lot of people out of business. People have shifted their hustle to other countries. So for those that have like 5 nodes or computers or 10 or whatever like that. However, there is one I've talked about it before. I forgot the name of this mining facility. I think it's in Texas. Now think of a server room where it's like 2 miles long or something like that, of nothing but stacks of computers that's crunching numbers 24/7. 24/7, these computers, I think they're called XS9s. Let me see if I can find the mining, crypto mining. Let me see, mining in Texas, I believe. Texas. Let me see here. I've spoken about it before. I'm trying to see if I can find the name of the company. Texas company. The name of the company is the name of the company. This is it right here. I think is what it is. I think it's called Riot Blockchain. Yeah, it's called Riot Blockchain Incorporated to build a crypto mine data center in Texas that will consume as much power as 800,000 U.S. homes. So yes, so you have a whole facility that's just, it's here it says the Riot's, I spoke about it on the show before, right? They have about 400 megawatts of capacity, has already begun on a 265 acre site with immersion cooled mining and hosting operations expected to commence in July 2023. So it's serious business here. So there was some issues with, as far as people had with proof of work, as far as, you know, the gas fees that people pay and their ability to create a transaction if they want to buy an NFT or whatever tokens, whatever things are happening. So there are new methods that came out called proof of stake. They said instead of proof of work, which would require a miner, as I said before, to solve the cryptographic puzzles, the numbers and letters within that blockchain to verify the transaction. Proof of stake method requires the validators to hold and stake their coins for the ability to earn these transaction fees. Now, the owners would offer their coins as collateral, staking, as I said, for the chance to validate the blocks and then become actual validators. And the validators are still selected randomly now. They're still selected. Don't think like they're just throwing money out there. They're staking their coins in order to become validators. No, there's still a selection, like a lottery selection, but you would have to stake the coin into this proof of stake method just to show your seriousness that you're of actually becoming a miner within by using this method. So and it's not easy. It's not like pennies here, like a couple $1,000s. They're saying Ethereum requires a coin owner to stake about 32 ETH, and that's a lot of money. So if you have, I don't know what Ethereum is at right now. So let me see here. Ethereum is at 1,550, all right, per Ethereum coin. So if you take 1,550 times, I'm assuming 32 ETH. 1,550 times 32 ETH. That's $49,600 in dollars. So per ETH is $1,550. Times 32 ETH, that's about close to $50,000 that you would have to stake into this proof of stake method in order to be possibly selected as a validator. So anyway, if you're gonna say, hey Nova, look, I don't have that type of money, I'm not trying to be a validator, but you know what's with this staking thing was a big issue. So as I said, as an investor, you can stake in your coin. If you decide, you could get Bitcoin or Ethereum or Solana or any one of the cryptocurrencies, stake it onto these platforms in order for them to add value within the process of them doing their business activity within the platform. You don't have to be a validator. You could be an investor, as what Gary Gensler was saying. There's got to be some way to protect investors. So you don't have to do $50,000. If you want to stake $200, whatever the equivalent is in the cryptocurrency that you own, you can stake your coin and earn back interest on that deal. Now, of course, there's a particular, the deal will go where you would stake your coin and it will be held. You can't take it back. You can't say I changed my mind tomorrow. No, you decide to stake, say $1,000 of, say, Solana, whatever the case may be. And then the deal is it would be held for a year. And within that year, the interest that you would earn on your crypto that you staked in would be like sometimes 5%, 2% back. Binance, they say in September 22, they had one of their coins. What is it called? Atom. They said they have a 13.5% return annual yield within Binance Atom. They said Coinbase also offers Algorand staking at 5.75% on an annual percentage yield. So like I said, there are different ways where you can stake into these platforms. But, Gary Gensler is saying that they don't want investors doing that because you're not protected. Because if say you stake onto a platform like FTX, you lose all your money. How do we ensure that people do not get ripped off? So, and I get it. And also one other piece of information that I think I didn't add. So as a staker, you can it's possible that you can stake on your own, which could be a lot of money, or you can join stake pools. So basically validators that you can just Google it online and find the most reputable staking pools. And then you can, based on their reputation, you can stake your coin, your token into that pool. And depending on what type of deal, the details of the deal, you can get a decent return on your investment for whatever that you want to throw in on. So yeah, man. As I said, I have no problems with what Gary Gensler was saying. I'm just curious on how this can play out for those that operate within the Web3 industry, how this is going to affect platforms like Coinbase, like Binance, and all the other platforms that do offer staking within their platform. So let's see how this goes. And sometimes, knowing from history, it never ever works out for any new technology or invention that may take over. And I know in the other side, the skeptical part of me, of course, always thinks that the analog boys, they don't want Web3 to kind of flourish and put them out of business or invalidate them as the old ways of doing money transactions. So even if the reasons are legitimate in terms of protecting investors like yourselves, if you are going to stake in staking pools or however it's going to be done, they would use it to their advantage and switch it up in a way where it puts the people at a disadvantage, whether you're the platform or you're the staker, however it goes. And they're probably going to be like, well, you're going to do that, then the government should get a piece too. That's usually how it goes too at the same time. So as they work out all this language and figure out how to protect investors like yourself that you're going to stake in, they're probably going to say, well, the government should get like 5% as the cut off 5% of the commission that you're getting a return on the token that you're staking on whatever platform. So it's going to work out some crazy way. So. All right, folks, I'm out of here. Thanks for listening to me. I'm going to chill out. Not even chill out. I'm going to get off this thing. I'm going to cut it. I got to do some other things in terms of related to this Web3 thing. And, I remember I have the 8-point proclamation for Black communities in hip hop. It is on change.org. I will share it on this platform. I will continue to share it on all my social media platforms. I'm definitely going to try to see if I can go down to the Universal Hip Hop Museum and see if I can create some sort of an opportunity where you can talk about that and make it a part of hip hop. Because again, this is for Black communities across America, for those that are a part of this hip hop culture, that appreciate for what it is. And I think there has to be ways where we can get that information out there through the Universal Hip Hop Museum. and to the people and really spread the word. All it takes is a signature, folks. If you believe in what I'm trying to say with the 8 points, the 8-point proclamation, and you really think that we should turn this thing around, yeah, man, go ahead and sign that. Put your signature on there, and let's blow it up for all that believe in hip hop. So thank you for listening. I'm gonna get out of here. Peace, love, and all that good stuff. I'll see you guys next week. All right, one.
Check it.
You just listened to GCOM Radio, powered by Lyfeblood.com for the global community.
We worldwide, baby.
See you in the next go round. From right here to your town, we out.